But participating in that campaign was my chance to do more for Jehovah. I knew this experience would be life-changing. Throughout the campaign, we met so many sincere people, some who had never heard Jehovah's name or who didn't even know what a Bible was. One experience that stuck with me was when I tried explaining to someone what the Bible was, and then her eyes just beamed when she understood that it was a message from God to her personally.
This is a clip about a previous preaching campaign, and it's kind of icky to see that the only chance that they have at converting people is by targeting the most remote and uneducated people, almost admitting that anyone who has access to education and the internet is already impossible to convert. Well, almost impossible, as we're about to see.
But I never had contact with Jehovah's Witnesses before. When the group arrived, the pastor of my church said that I should be very careful about having contact with Jehovah's Witnesses. So I was. I did everything I could to avoid contact with them. I would see them leaving early for the ministry. But one day, there was a sister that didn't go out. And I thought, she's gonna try to preach to me. And that's what she did.
This is a practically unheard experience of someone converting into this religion in modern times. I have literally been saying for years that if this religion had converted anyone lately, they would have already made a video about it. And now, we finally have it. Proof that this cult can still convert people. Let's see why she converted into this religion.
So, since she was already staying at the inn, I started studying with her. But at first, it was just to prove her wrong. As I kept studying, though, I could see that what I was learning was really making sense. So I couldn't say that that wasn't the truth. I would also notice the brothers and sisters playing guitar, singing, and I thought it was so beautiful to see how joyful they always were. I met the witnesses in April 2016, and in October, I became an unbaptized publisher. In January 2017, I was baptized, and I've been regular pioneering for 2 years.
So she found the community attractive, and she thought that what she was being preached made sense. It's weird that people never actually go into detail of what specifically made sense other than, I learned God's name is Jehovah, and other generic nonsense. I would absolutely want to know what exactly made her want to convert into this cult. But the video gives us a hint, and as you can imagine, relies more on emotion and coincidence than on logic and reason.
I'm sure that all of this happened because Jehovah heard what I prayed for a few days before. I had had to go to the hospital, and I had asked, God, help me survive so that I can get to know you, because I know I don't know the truth about you yet. He gave me what I asked for. He sent the brothers just at the right time with the campaign. I'm sure it was Jehovah who sent them. Someone could be praying for help, to learn about Jehovah, and he will direct a preaching campaign with brothers from many places to help honest-hearted people.
So she was praying to God in a moment of desperation, making her vulnerable to the first person preaching about God. We learn nothing about why she believed this is the truth or why her life is actually better now. It's all a matter of vibes, because this cult is nothing but a shell of its former self. All they have is just the message of, join the preaching campaign because Jehovah wants you to.
I was raised in a religious Jewish family in the Bronx. My parents viewed money as security, and they worked 7 days a week. That really affected us as children a lot. I was a child let on the loose. I was running the streets. And so I started using drugs, and I started selling drugs, and I was getting in every kind of trouble. And so they moved us out to Long Island, hoping things would be better.
This is the average story of how someone converted to the religion back when this religion was able to convert followers. And it follows the same old story, simplified to its core components to almost become a satire of itself once you've seen as many as I have. Pretty much every story of someone converting is, I was using drugs in a bad relationship and thought life was meaningless, but then A cult member gave me a pamphlet and convinced me to go to the meetings where I was love-bombed into staying. This one, however, has a somewhat anti-Semitic twist to it.
So my family had disowned me. I was a new mother with a baby, and I was really hurting. So I remember one day looking out the window and seeing this little old man come up my stairs, and he was carrying a little blue book. And he came to my door, and he wanted 25 cents for that book, The Truth That Leads to Eternal Life. And I didn't really care about the book, but something made me want to give that little old man that quarter. Right away, chapter 4 caught my attention, Why We Grow Old and Die. And I read the entire chapter, and I thought, it just made sense. I can't wait to share this with Joe when he comes home. He just lost his temper. He went out of control. He did not want to hear about Jehovah's Witnesses. This is not that important. This book was really not that important. I didn't want it to begin with. And so I just dropped it in the trash can and thought, that's the end of that. It's gone. But that little old man came back with a young sister, and Joe was there cutting an orange with a knife, and he was not happy to see those people again. He took that knife and he waved it in front of the sister's face, and he said, I don't want you here at the house. She ran to the door and she said, no problem. I will definitely not be back. And they left. And I thought, I really don't think they'll be back. But they did come back, an elderly sister who had a Jewish background. And I said to her, can you not take a hint that I am not interested in speaking with you? And she said, I get that. I get that, but I really would love to ask you just one question. I thought, okay, there's no harm in letting her ask me one question. She opened up the green Bible to the cover page where it has the tetragrammaton, Jehovah's name in Hebrew. And she said, will you just say this name for me? I thought to myself, I'm not going to say that name. Jewish people don't say that name. I have never, ever said that name. But finally, I did. I said Jehovah. For the very first time, I said the name Jehovah. And I was like, so shocked. I was just waiting for something terrible to happen. And then she told me that the name Jehovah was in the Bible about 7,000 times.
So Jehovah's Witnesses basically pressure her into doing something that was against her religion. Leaving aside the fact that Jehovah is a made-up name and not the name of the Abrahamic God, Jehovah's Witness pressured into doing something she outright said she didn't want to do. And what would happen if a Jehovah's Witness was offered to, say, get a blessing in the name of Satan, just so they realized that there was nothing to it? Would they show the same openness they expect people to show them when they are preaching? This lady was worn down by the religion first by insisting on going back, even when she and her partner had made it clear that they didn't want to see this religion and this cult members back. And then by pressuring this lady into doing something that went against her religion. This really shows us how much the Jehovah's Witnesses believe they have a right to meddle in people's lives, but obviously would never allow anyone to even question their own beliefs the way they encourage others to do the same.
A week later, she comes back because she wanted to show me a prophecy in the Hebrew scriptures in Daniel chapter 9. She called it the 70 weeks of years prophecy. And for the first time, I could see that there was a real answer to when the Messiah would come and what would be the results on the earth. Seeing those prophecies really motivated me to want to know more. I thought to myself, if all of these prophecies are from God and He's fulfilling all of them, what other prophecies are there? What other wonderful things do we have to look forward to?
This prophecy is neither a prophecy nor is it the same version of the prophecy that Jehovah's Witnesses believe today. But this shows what it's missing from their religion, their pseudo-intellectualism. Before, Jehovah's Witnesses believed they knew the Bible so well that they had broken the code on the prophecies of times that just so happened to be around the corner. Now, all that elevated understanding is either gone or morphed into a simple fear of Armageddon. That's it. Unless you're already predisposed to fear Armageddon already, the doctrine itself is unlikely to resonate with you because there's Nothing left to resonate with. But that's all for now. You can watch the full analysis by becoming a supporter like these guys right here, or by subscribing so you don't miss the next video when it comes out.